One of the things that I've tried to emphasize, speaking particularly to folks on the right, is that in principle, collective action and workers being able to bargain collectively is something everyone should be in favor of. That's not a liberal or a conservative idea necessarily. What we fight about politically is the National Labor Relations Act, which was passed in the 1930s at a time of massive labor strife in the middle of the Depression, at a time when there was no global competition. I mean, just in a completely different context, and served some purposes very well for a good period of time. I don't think many people would say it has worked well in a very long time. And that's reflected in the statistics that show, down from mid-30s to less than 7% of people in unions. And it's important to recognize that that's not just evil union busters. That's workers also don't especially like the National Labor Relations Act and the kinds of unions it creates. There's a wonderful survey in a book done in the mid-90s called What Workers Want. And what it found was, roughly speaking, a third, maybe more than little over a third of workers would in general say that they like the idea of having a union. Now, in a system where you have to get more than 50% in every workplace to get a union, that's a recipe for no unions. Even more importantly, I think, when workers were asked, which would you prefer, something like the existing structure of a union that has power but is opposed by management, or a cooperative arrangement that has less power but management supports and wants to work with, the less or no power but cooperative relationship was more than twice as popular. That's with non-managerial workers. And so what we have in the NLRA is a system that is set up to be exceptionally adversarial. You get in there, you fight to get the vote that gets you a union, to have a bargaining agreement that is essentially give us certain things or we will strike. I mean, that's essentially the setup we have. And hasn't worked out very well at the end of the day for either the workers in organized firms or for the firms. And so opening up what organizing means, allowing arrangements more like what they have in Europe, which is called works councils, encouraging the creation of organized labor groups, more like worker centers that aren't tied to the place of employment. They're something you join voluntarily because they provide value to you, is really important.